daydreaming about dragons. Once again, Reply Show, Papa. We are back for our midweek reply show. The way I structure these shows is on Sunday nights, I put out a weekly podcast in which I talk for 10 minutes about something that occurs to me on the table, something that's going on, something that I'm processing in my gaming, my tabletop role-playing gaming. And then for 10 minutes, I go to the Inspiration Goat. I talk about a piece of media and how that makes me think about gaming in a different way. And then we call it a day. Midweek, if you, the listener, have the energy, have the inspiration to contact me, talk to me through social media, however, then we have a midweek reply show. I put them together, and here we are. And I hear what you have to say, and I continue the conversation, and so it goes. So here we are, Reply Show Papa. The Sunday episodes are numbered, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the reply shows are applied with the NATO phonetic alphabet, just to keep things spicy. So we are up to Reply Show Papa. We are running out of letters in the alphabet, and we got to figure that out. But we got a little bit to go before that. So this week we've got an email, we've got a message on the Anchor app, which is a fine way to do it. And then we've got a blog post that I got access to via a Mastodon toot. If you don't know what a Mastodon toot is, that's all right. Don't sweat it. You don't have to know. The information will be there anyway. So here we go. Let's get to Reply Show Papa. I'll see you on the other side. Robert Bull writes, your Inspiration Goat about the Deadwood movie reminded me of some advice you gave me about a World of Darkness 2 game. The characters were mortals learning about the world of darkness and destined to become different kinds of supernaturals. They got themselves in a situation where they got caught having killed someone, and that would logically get them thrown in jail. I didn't see any way around it. I asked you what to do. I quote, just send them to jail. What does that look like? Or jump the campaign years until they've been released, close quote. You blew my mind. Sad postscript. The game collapsed before I ever got to try that, in part because of poorly communicated player expectations. And that's not just on the player. The system and I both failed us too. Cool. I remember those conversations. It was awesome when my gaming buddies and I all kind of scattered to the winds and played in different places, and we got to discuss the games we were playing together. It was cool to have people we trusted all over the place and have these kind of long phone conversations about what we were playing and give advice. I feel like those conversations really probably turned me into a podcaster as much as anything, and a blogger and a forum poster and all of that. I love that. So thank you, Rob, for being one of the wonderful people I've gotten to talk to over the years. And as to the advice, I stand by it. I think it's pretty solid. I love the idea of a World of Darkness prison. I still love that idea. That's nifty. What does that look like? Does the prison warden know about supernatural stuff? I think it's kind of more interesting if they do, if they're like some kind of scary sorcerer. Maybe even sending people out into the world, and then when they're done doing the warden's bidding, they wake up and they're just back in prison. I just want something terrifying about it. I think a friend of mine, Tony Lauerbausch, said if you want to make a genre piece about the real world scarier, add magic to it. Which in many times, or just not even scarier, but intensity. It just adds to the metaphor of everything. And prisons are horrifying without anything. And then I think when you add, mages and vampires and werewolves and wraiths and heaven knows what else, it gets scarier. Or it gets, again, like Tony said, it doesn't get scarier, it gets more intense. I would play that game, Supernatural Prison. That's kind of neat. And I think so many places where life and death happen are interesting in a, once you add supernatural stuff to them. Supernatural hospital, definitely. Like, why aren't there vampire coteries centered around hospitals? That makes sense, doesn't it? Someone starts screaming about vampires and messing up the masquerade, lock them up, put them in the mental ward. It's terrifying. And I think prisons are as terrifying. And the other thing about prisons is we could really make the warden and the system behind the prison a really tangible evil, and thereby say something meaningful about the prison industrial complex, which I think is kind of cool. Having big evils is fun. Having big evils that say something about the evil in the world is even more fun. So thanks, Rob. Thank you for chiming in. Nice to remember that. I would not have remembered that piece of advice. I feel like we were all talking about gaming so much back then that it's just a huge blur. And that conversation might have happened 20 years ago. So thank you for remembering it. I am honored and flattered. And let's get on to we have a call-in next. Thanks, Rob, for emailing. I appreciate it. Anytime you want to do that, please do it. Looking forward to hearing from you again. And on to the call-in.
Hey, Judd, this is Logan from Swordbreaker, and I really enjoyed your good sentence section, and I look forward to a lot more of those in the future. What does that look like is a fantastic one to suggest, and I wanted to suggest a variation on that, which is to bring another character in it. So you have one character doing some action, some kind of large-scale thing, and you ask, well, so-and-so, one of the other player characters, can see you. What do they see? The reason I like to do that is because I think it helps remind the players that the characters are having an experience of each other, and that can be carried on in their future role-playing. Keep up the great work. Love what you do.
Thank you so much, Logan. I appreciate it. Logan has a podcast called Swordbreaker, and I will say many kind things about it, but the best thing about it is that it has probably the best introduction song ever. So you should go listen to it. The introduction song feels like the fun a 13-year-old has playing D&D, and that's pretty fun. So thank you. I love the idea of a player describing their character. I think it's something that I often do in first sessions and then kind of forget about, and then promptly kind of forget what the character looks like over weeks and months and or years, and then kind of have to get back to it. So it's definitely something that I should touch base on a little bit more, is remembering what those characters look like. I find it, I tend to remember when I have something to kind of stick it to, and when I have something to stick it to is when we cast our characters as actors and actresses. I just find that easier to remember. But yes, absolutely. I like, what do they see? Also, I think that can be useful if a character is going into another character's home or homelands or domicile or tower or whatever. You can kind of ask them what the players are smelling or feeling, or what kind of food they would find there, or whatever it is. I think that's a fun thing. So thank you very much. I appreciate your kind words, and I very much appreciate your message. Thanks a lot. Keep sword breaking. And I have one more for the week. My buddy Alex Schroeder on his blog has a blog post called Strange and Beautiful Things, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes. And the blog post is called Strange and Beautiful Things. And he says very nice things about the podcast, which I really appreciate. And then he goes on to note a bunch of strange and beautiful moments that happen in his game, which are really lovely, and it's nice. I love the way that it's really evocative. All of the moments are really cool, and I really like the way that he lays them out. It's about a paragraph each for each moment, and he talks about what mechanically was going on, and what what cool things the players said, which is really nifty. So go check that out. Alex, I appreciate it. I always like your reactions to the podcast, and I appreciate them more than I can say. And I look forward to reading more. I actually end up interacting with Alex most on Mastodon, which is kind of a like a Twitter variant, and it's fun. I wish it took off. I wish I could get everything off of Twitter and onto this thing, but that is not the way the world works. So, Alex, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if anyone out there wants to share their strange and evocative moments, please send them to me. You can send me a link to the blog post or the forum post, and I will put it in the next reply show eagerly. Thanks. Oh, and I have one kind of moment that came up. Actually, I was just talking about it. We had our Band of Blades game, and there was a situation where the players were in this bandit camp, and things were about to go really poorly and get violent, and it was just very tense, and the tension was building. And a soldier was left. One of the players was playing a soldier who was left alone with this bandit queen and the bandit queen's little sister or daughter. It wasn't really clear. It turned out to be her sister, and they were just kind of left alone, and it was quiet and kind of uncomfortable. And the player had the soldier turn to them and say, "So what'd you do before this?" And they had this just really awkward, stilted conversation about what they did before the war, and it was really cool. It turns out the soldier was an artisan, and the bandit queen had been a tax collector, and it was just a lot of fun. So yeah, those are the kind of moments I dig, where you just have these weird, odd fantasy moments that maybe you'd get out of fiction, but I don't really often see, and that are still very evocative and a lot of fun anyway. I can't wait to hear yours. All right, a little bit more info in the outro. Talk to you soon. That was Reply Show Papa. Thank you for listening. If you would like to support the show, you can hit the support show button, which is on the Anchor site where the podcast is hosted, or you can look in the show notes. It should be the last link in the show notes. You can also support us by purchasing a copy of the Dictionary of Mu, which is my swords and sorcery, science fantasy setting, which is vaguely reminiscent of Mars, or a Mars that never was. It is a setting supplement for the Sorcerer role-playing game, set up like a dictionary. It was nominated for a couple of Ennies 1,000 years ago. I'd love to hear what you think of it, and I would love to hear what words you add to the dictionary as you play. And if neither of those things work for you, that's fine. Please just send me an email or tweet at me, or tweet about the show, tweet about what's going on at your game table, if there's something I said that caused a reaction or made you think about something in a different way, or reminded you of something going on at your gaming table. I would love to hear about it. So drop me a line. My email is juddkarlman, judd.karlman @gmail.com. My Twitter handle is judd_of_KRYOS, Judd of Cryos. Both of those, the Twitter handle at least, and the Dictionary of Mu will have links in the show notes. And I hope your summer gaming is going well. Amidst all the summer vacation plans, it's kind of difficult. And I hear you, and I'll talk to you soon. Talk to you Sunday.